What if paying in cash, something most people consider the safest option, is actually costing you more than you realize? In this video, I'll explain why paying cash can be a bad idea in the simplest way possible. No confusing terms, no financial advice, just education to help you understand how the system really works. Paying cash feels responsible. It feels clean. There's no obligation hanging over you, no future payments, no visible interest. Once the transaction is done, it feels finished. That feeling is powerful. It gives a sense of control and finality. Culturally, cash is associated with discipline. If you pay up front, you're seen as avoiding traps. You're not playing games with money. You're staying safe. But safety in money isn't defined by how something feels. It's defined by how the system records and responds to it. From a system perspective, cash is simple. It moves from you to the seller, and the transaction ends. No data trail, no timeline, no leverage. The system doesn't remember that transaction beyond the moment it happens. There's no ongoing relationship created, no behavior recorded, no future interaction built on it. That simplicity feels like an advantage until you realize what's missing. When you pay cash, you're giving up optionality, the ability to spread time, the ability to interact with systems that are designed around delayed flows. Modern financial systems are built to reward participation over isolation. They track behavior, not just payments. They respond to patterns over time, not one-time actions. Cash exits the system immediately, and anything that exits the system stops influencing it. Digital and deferred payments create continuity. They allow systems to observe consistency, duration, and reliability. From the system's point of view, a person who engages over time is more predictable than someone who appears briefly and disappears. Predictability is valuable. Cash offers certainty in the moment, but it offers nothing beyond that moment. That doesn't make cash wrong. It makes it limited. Many people believe paying cash means staying in control. But control depends on context. If the system is designed to recognize patterns, histories, and timelines, then opting out doesn't give you power. It removes you from consideration altogether. The transaction ends cleanly. The system moves on. What feels like independence may actually be disengagement. Once you stop judging payment methods by emotion and start viewing them through system behavior, the picture changes. Cash doesn't fail. It just doesn't participate. And in systems that reward participation over time, that distinction matters. The problem with paying cash isn't the act itself. It's the assumptions people attach to it. Those assumptions quietly shape behavior in ways that often go unnoticed. When people pay cash, they often feel insulated from future impact. Once money leaves their hand, the decision feels closed. This can reduce reflection. Because there's no ongoing reminder, the cost fades quickly from memory. There's nothing to revisit, nothing to monitor, nothing to evaluate later. The system doesn't challenge this mindset, it allows it. And anything the system allows without feedback tends to repeat. One of the most overlooked issues with cash is what it quietly removes: flexibility. When all value is exchanged immediately, there's no room to adapt, no timeline to reassess, no way to respond if circumstances change. Because nothing goes wrong, this loss of flexibility rarely feels like a mistake. But over time, repeated rigidity accumulates into constraint. Cash doesn't cause loss, it prevents adjustment. Deferred and tracked payment methods create visibility. They force comparisons over time. Patterns emerge. Cash does the opposite. Each transaction exists in isolation. Without comparison, it's harder to evaluate whether choices are improving or simply repeating. And without evaluation, learning slows down. The system isn't teaching, it's staying silent. Avoiding systems feels like avoiding risk. But systems don't only contain risk, they contain feedback. When people consistently choose cash to avoid complexity, they also avoid feedback loops that highlight inefficiencies. What's avoided isn't danger, it's information. Cash compresses time. It forces everything into the present moment. But financial systems operate across time. They reward continuity, reliability, and patterns. When behavior is disconnected from time, alignment breaks, not loudly, quietly. The system doesn't penalize cash users. It simply stops responding to them. Nothing about paying cash feels wrong. There's no interest, no reminder, no future obligation. That's why the downside is easy to ignore. It doesn't announce itself as a problem, but systems don't need to create pain to create disadvantage. They only need to shift benefits elsewhere. Paying cash feels like closure, but in a system built around continuity, closure can quietly become exclusion. And exclusion doesn't feel dangerous until its effects compound over time. Once paying cash is no longer seen as automatically safe, the conversation changes. The question is no longer whether cash is good or bad, it becomes about how systems interpret different behaviors. Financial systems don't just record transactions, they observe patterns. They look for continuity, reliability, and behavior over time. When someone participates consistently, the system gains data. And data is what systems respond to. Cash participation is brief. It appears, completes, and disappears. From a system's perspective, there's nothing to learn from that. No timeline, no behavior arc, just a moment that ends. Most people assume intent is visible. It isn't. Systems don't know why you chose cash. They don't see discipline, caution, or responsibility. They only see absence of interaction. Smart system thinkers understand this difference. They don't assume the system understands their values. They assume the system only understands signals, and signals require continuity. Paying cash is a moment-based decision. It optimizes for closure now. Systems, however, are time-based. They evaluate sequences, not moments. They react to how behavior unfolds, not how it concludes. When decisions are made purely for immediate certainty, they may conflict with systems designed to reward long-term engagement. This isn't about borrowing or spending more. It's about understanding how time changes interpretation. Avoiding systems feels like independence. But independence only exists if there's leverage behind it. Smart users don't avoid systems by default. They observe them first. They learn how systems respond, where they're rigid, and where they're flexible. Avoidance removes risk, but it also removes optionality. Systems don't offer optionality to those who never engage. Control implies influence. Disengagement implies distance. Paying cash creates distance. Distance reduces friction, but it also reduces influence. Smart system thinking is about choosing when to be close and when to step back. Not exiting entirely, but positioning intentionally. This distinction is subtle, but it's where long-term advantages quietly form. Institutions rely on models that work even when individuals behave unpredictably. Tracked behavior helps reduce uncertainty. Cash removes that predictability. It doesn't signal reliability over time. It only signals completion. From an institutional lens, completion without continuity has limited value. Not wrong, just incomplete. The most important shift isn't deciding how to pay. It's deciding how closely your behavior aligns with how systems calculate value. Safety is emotional. Alignment is structural. Once that difference is understood, payment methods stop being moral choices and start being strategic signals. Cash doesn't lose its usefulness, but it loses its illusion. When seen through system behavior, paying cash stops looking universally safe and starts looking situational, powerful in some contexts, limiting in others. And that understanding changes how control is defined. At a distance, paying cash still looks simple, clean, final, done. But once the system view is clear, simplicity no longer equals advantage. The moment you understand how systems interpret behavior, cash stops being a default choice and becomes a contextual one. Not good, not bad, specific. The biggest change is this: decisions stop being driven by comfort and start being driven by consequences that unfold over time. And time is where systems operate most effectively. One of the strongest beliefs around cash is that avoiding debt means avoiding cost. But systems don't measure cost only through interest. They measure cost through missed signals, reduced flexibility, and lack of continuity. When everything is paid up front, nothing carries forward. No history, no pattern, no relationship. That absence is a cost, even if it never shows up on a statement. Finality feels powerful because it ends uncertainty. But in dynamic systems, power comes from optionality. Options allow adjustment. Adjustment allows alignment. Alignment reduces friction over time. Cash ends options immediately. That can be useful in some situations, but harmful when used as a blanket rule. Control isn't about ending interactions. It's about choosing when interactions continue. Many people choose cash to feel safe. Safe from mistakes. Safe from miscalculations. Safe from complexity. But safety is an emotion. Systems don't respond to emotion. They respond to positioning. Once decisions are positioned logically instead of emotionally, outcomes become more predictable. Not because risk disappears, but because it's understood. It's important to be clear. Paying cash was never bad advice. In simpler systems, it aligned well with outcomes. It reduced exposure. It limited mistakes. What changed was the environment. As systems evolved to reward continuity, data, and long-term behavior, cash lost influence. Not because it failed, but because the rules shifted. Paying cash doesn't protect you from systems. It removes you from them. And removal isn't the same as control. Once this distinction is understood, money decisions stop being about rules and start being about context. That's where real control begins. This content is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. If this helped you see payment decisions more clearly, consider subscribing for more educational breakdowns like this.